Frank, breaking news here on Phone Booth Fighting before we talk about anything else. We have to announce the live show that you and I are doing in Chicago with the American Gangster Chael Sonnen. That's right. The suspended live stage show returns after its hit run here in Las Vegas. For the first time ever in Chicago, it's going to be Thursday night, April 26th, at the Laugh Factory in Chicago. Angelo Reyes is here as well, Frank's striking coach. Frank, this all came together very, very quickly. I mean, so quickly that I know you're nervous about the fight. I'm nervous about filling up the Laugh Factory because we've got 1 week to get the word out to everyone.
Are you really that worried? I'm not that worried. I thought it was going to be sold out right away. Richard Hunter, Chael Sonnen.
The same reason you have Angelo in your corner is the same reason I have Angelo in my corner.
Are you kidding me? You're awesome, man.
Thank
the
you,
Stratosphere show.
He just Reyes.
Yeah, he Reyes me.
No. Like your last joke, the only God will judge me from the last episode.
Yeah.
Man, I thought that's hilarious.
Thank you very much. Well, you'll hear comedy like that on Thursday night, April 26th. It's an 8 p.m. show. And Frank, this Laugh Factory is a beautiful club. So it turns out they're big fans of ours, and they're very excited about having the show. And so hopefully the ticket link is up live. Go to just look up Chicago Laugh Factory, Google that, and tickets are either on sale or they will be very soon. And tickets are discounted if you buy in advance. So I'm actually breaking this news to you.
So can I ask you a question then? Are you actually going to do even like a small set, Frank? 2 minutes?
Yeah.
He's doing his set.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'd be fun. It'd be the first time that the main event of any fighter on any combat sports realm, whether boxing or MMA, has ever done a comedy set 2 days before his actual fight.
I feel like it would be too much work to even try to prove you wrong on that. So I'm going to agree. I mean, it sounds right.
It sounds right.
Just on that alone, the Laugh Factory Chicago should be sold out.
Yeah.
We'll be doing okay, man. I mean, we'll use CJ, got to let him know.
Oh, yeah, the Bellator PR guy will absolutely let him know. You don't think there's a chance that, like, in whatever Little Russia section of Chicago that Fedor is going to be doing his stand-up that same night?
I think he's doing his own press conference.
Is he really?
Yeah, they have a special press, because I was bitching and moaning about the fact that I'm the only one doing PR for the fight.
Oh, yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, it's, obviously, there's a reason why you're doing it, not him. But don't worry, he has to do some extra stuff that you don't have to do, which is, they're going to have a special little press conference just for the Russian community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's a big one in Chicago.
Yeah, that's from what I understand. There's a huge drawing there. Yeah. Well, that's why they scheduled the fight there. I mean, Fedor doesn't want to do any kind of. He actually speaks English really well.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah, he hides behind the fact that he doesn't, but he's actually.
The rumor was that Anderson Silva always did that too.
I've actually spoken to Anderson Silva in English.
In English?
Yeah, he speaks English.
It's like, hey Frank, what's up? Yeah. Looks around, makes sure no one's watching.
Yeah.
And as soon as somebody comes, he's like, hi, how you doing? I don't speak Portuguese. I don't know what to say. Woo, bobblehead, woo, bobblehead. He just starts doing that. Yeah.
I was thinking of it because you said bobblehead.
Yeah.
I was trying to find someone, Frank.
You were trying to find your Fedor bobblehead?
No,
you got two of them.
I don't
How
have
could
a
you
Fedor.
lose both of them?
Actually, Scott Coker, I do not have a Fedor bobblehead.
What are you talking about? I was with you
the
night.
No, Kimbo Slice.
Oh, that's
I have Kimbo Slice.
There
I don't have the Fedor bobblehead, but I was trying to find somebody in Vegas that had one because I wanted you to do remember when Ali did it in Thriller in Manila where you grab the doll and you're like, come on, gorilla. This is going to be a thriller. Remember he was doing it.
I didn't know that.
I was barely born then.
No.
I think Frank was.
You're a historian, though.
I do remember that. Yeah. Okay, well, hang on. I got to finish getting out our Go ahead, Frank.
Shit. Oh, speaking of the English thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny, especially over there at the ACB, right? With all the Chechens and a couple guys with Russian and stuff. I've had moments now where I've realized you got to be careful who you speak English around. Because, for example, one of the matchmakers, right, his name is Ibrahim. And Ibi, right? Great guy, but he didn't speak a lot. I just always as a dumb American, assumed that because he wasn't speaking in front of me that he didn't speak English.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness I never said anything awful, because we were
Yeah.
sitting there. This was probably about 6 months ago, and I'd worked now since I'm a year and a half into the company. So it's about a year into it, and we're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden he starts chiming in on the conversation. You know how weird that is to hang out with somebody for a year and not realize, and they didn't actually decide to. I'm just sitting there, I look over at him like, well, I guess you know that I'm not a dick because I've never talked shit about you, because I would have.
Yeah.
I would have just assumed that you didn't speak, you know what I mean? Because he never spoke, just sit there, and then like when someone translates, he would look over and hear the translation. I'm like, you dick, you knew exactly. And then
He really sold it.
Yeah, completely. He's like, well, I don't speak English very good. I'm all, you're holding a complete conversation with me.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay.
What else is being hidden?
All right. Well, what's being buried here is our live show plug. I got to make sure I do this real strong because we need all the support we can get. So, what's up, Chicago? By the way, our fourth biggest U.S. market of listeners, Chicago. So that should mean something. Hopefully, you guys, you're hearing this. You're going to spread the word. You're going to tell your fellow Chicagoans. Are they Chicagoans? Chicagoans. Hopefully, you're going to tell your fellow Chicagoans. And all of you guys are going to come out to the Laugh Factory on Thursday night, April 26th, 2 nights before the Fedor fight. But it's a 8 p.m. show. Frank, myself, and the American Gangster Chael Sonnen live on stage together. Maybe even a special guest or two will join us out there. And if you haven't seen the live show before, Frank, tell everybody, describe the show that you and Chael and myself put on.
Well, I think that neither one of us or any of us in that crew will ever be accused of being short on words.
No.
We're a long-winded group of guys that seem to be able to speak pretty candidly. In fact, if anything, you're probably the most sensible of us.
Thank you.
Chael and I are probably neck and neck for who might actually get banned.
Yeah. Of those three stooges, I'm Mo.
Yes. Is Mo Mo's the one with the black hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You're Curly.
Yeah, Curly. All right.
Oh, okay.
Just
I
because you're the
thought Chael was curly.
Well, no, because Frank
Okay.
is the closest to having the curly body. He's the biggest.
Okay.
He's the burly one.
Okay, you're talking.
And
I
then-
thought you were going to go off the fro, though. I got the
aesthetic
Well,
look.
tight little rings.
That's true. That would be good for Larry. But I would say, if you lined us up next to each other, well, you know what? That's a good conversation for the stage.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
we'll
a-
sort that out because Chael should be involved in the conversation as
Truly,
well.
truly.
So you were saying,
Yeah, so we're going to talk handily about things. I think we're able to rift back and forth. If anybody comes there, they know that we have mics in the audience. Feel free to be part of the show.
there's going to be audience Q&A for sure.
And it helps keep everything moving. And then obviously either before or after, I'll do a stand-up piece and go up there. And Chael does a stand-up, doesn't he?
He says, okay, he's never done it, if I recall correctly, because we asked him that. Now, maybe could he be persuaded to give it a try? I don't know. Let's put the peer pressure on
I
him.
think Chael can go up there.
I'll do my stand-up. You can do your set, and even if he just does a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
it'd be good. We had
Knowing
fun.
Chael, he'll just rift.
Yeah, well, we had a
He'll
good
Charlie Sheen it.
We had a good bit with him. Yeah, really. I saw that show live when Charlie Sheen
Did
did
you
that
really?
tour. Yeah, I actually did.
Now, see, I would have paid to go to it
Yeah.
until I heard what he did at one of the shows where he's like making fun of people because you bought the tickets. I'm like, all right, that's not cool.
It was tough. We'll save that story for another show. But we did a good bit with Chael when we did the live show with him here in Las Vegas, where I think he's really good at live reads on his podcast. Like, you give him a sponsor.
Yeah, you said that to me more than once.
Yeah,
I remember being on your live show, and that is what he's.
That's what he's done. Yeah,
Yeah, he said he just fits it in seamlessly.
Oh
right?
yeah. So we made up like horrible fake products and had him improv a great live read to sell you a horrible product. Like one of them was the Flat Tire Club, where you paid a subscription fee and every month somebody flattened one of your tires. And he actually came up with this whole scenario about how it gives you back time in your life while you're waiting for that tire to be changed, to do the little things like call your wife, tell her you love her, read a book, smell the roses. Yeah, he's great at it.
Slow down.
So maybe
funny.
we'll do that bit. I know there's going to be a round of Combat Name That Tune. on that stage. Okay. Now, the question is, here's the interesting thought about that, though. That's normally where we clear the stage, Frank and I hit the ground, and the DJ plays a random classic rock song that I have to verbally identify before Frank can submit me.
Yes.
Now, my thought is that with the fight being 2 days away, I mean, we don't want to risk some random freak injury, because I am allowed to defend the submissions.
Well, because he's allowed to really submit you.
Well, sure.
Yeah, what if I pull a hamstring?
That's what I'm thinking. So maybe Chael
has to step in for
would want to step
that
in.
Would be awesome.
But here's what I'm thinking. Just follow me on this, because I'm a long game kind of guy, okay? Tell me if this makes sense. What I'm thinking is we have him stand in for you on Combat, Name That Tune. We explain, hey, your fight's in 2 days, don't want to risk an injury. But given the fact that if you beat Fedor, then you and Chael fight next, it gives me a chance to grapple with him a little bit. He will not expect that I'm actually scouting.
Right.
And then I'm going to pick up a few
Feel the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how you're thinking.
See what I'm doing? And that
Big
way,
Dick's got some good ideas.
we got that clean. I think that's going to live on in the archives. Thank you, Angelo.
It's funny because that nickname, Big Dick, most of us can say it and not sound completely just black chalk or blackboard, just nails, just screeching. Yeah. Somehow Angelo's able to make it sound like obscene, right? Like we all know the joke behind it, but but Angelo's able to put a spin on it where he's like, Big Dick.
Yeah.
It's like, damn. And you did it, right? Because you're laughing. For those at home that are not watching us on YouTube, that's the reddest I've ever seen a little Filipino get.
Angelo's got a strong delivery.
Yeah, he does.
When he's passionate. He is a man of passion.
That is something he'll never, ever be accused of, as being unpassionate.
No. Apathetic Angelo, even though the alliteration works, it does not fit the description for him.
That's actually why I've seen him and Anna hang out together. It's kind of funny because Anna, I've never heard her raise her voice above.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, she can walk in the room and, it's soft-spoken, quiet, doesn't, she could be dying of water, dehydration, wouldn't ask for a glass of water.
No, she's the teller to his pen.
And then you got Angelo who walks in and is like, oh, what do you got there?
So we're going.
Can I tell the story real quick? The ultimate on Angelo. Angelo's one of the best in the world at promoting. He really is.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because I'm awful at it. Angelo has really been an asset in that fact of getting out there and talking and stuff. And a weakness of mine is the story I heard from Tony Roberts, right? Or what was it? I'm trying to think about
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins,
the motivational speaker guy. Yeah,
he talks the story about, hey, you know what? You got to go out in life and ask for it. You got to go out there and get shit. No one's just going to hand you anything. And he talked about how one time he was walking in an alley, and this this bum came up to him and basically was like, hey man, can I get $1? He goes, yeah, sure. You want $1? So then Tony Robbins says, I pulled out about 10 grand out of my pocket, flipping past all the hundreds. I'm finally getting to some 50s, a 20s, a 10, a 5s. So the homeless guy sees me going through all this money, and I pull out a $1 bill, and he goes, I hand it to him. So the guy goes, well, shit, could you have given me more? He goes, well, you didn't ask for more. You asked for $1. And the moral of the story is like, hey, go out there and get yours, and I'm bad at that. I really am. I'm not that guy. I mean, you've got sponsorships and shit like that. Like, I don't ask for things. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't want to be a bother. It's just not my personality. And as a businessman, that's not a good thing. I've tried to learn how to be better at it, and Angelo's good at it. But to me, the epitome of one time of just like, I'm like, Angelo, come on, man. Because, different things like, with portion control and stuff, he's like, hey, where could Anna fit in? And I'm always up like, oh, yeah, well, we'll see where we can fit her in here, fit her in there. But then when he was listening to the show, he goes, oh, that T-Nation.
Low T-Nation.
Low T-Nation, they sponsor the show, yeah. I'm like,
if you're a man in your late 40s who's slowing down,
right?
Doesn't quite have the get up and go that you used to. I'm not exactly describing Anna here, am I?
You're not even describing me, actually.
Right. So he asked me, he goes, hey, what do they do for the show? I'm like, oh, and I explained the financial backing behind it. He goes, well, do you think they would do like a sponsor and give stuff? I'm like, oh, for you? He's like, no, for Anna. I'm like, Angelo, do you even listen to what Low T Nation is? He goes, well, is there anything that can help out Anna? I'm like, no. I'm like, dude, there's absolutely nothing they can do for her. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious? Do you want her to have like, hey, Angelo? Put hair on. I'm like, you know that expression, put hair on your chest? This really will put hair on your chest. I'm like looking at him like, it's the only time I've had to tell him, be like, dude, not even close. You're not even like, I would say you're like in left field, but you're like at the wrong ballpark. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, normally I tell people to visit lowtnation.com and call the toll-free number for a free consultation. I would definitely not tell Anna to do that.
Yeah.
That's
so to me, I'm just looking at him like, Angelo, I love you, buddy, but come on, man.
It's just it's an instinct, though, isn't it,
Yeah,
Angelo? I mean, it's a keeping you sharp for the hunt.
Yeah,
keeping you sharp
like
for
I
the
said,
ask.
hey, 9 out of 100 times
Right.
it helps Angelo get those things, go out there. This is that 1 out of 100. I'm like looking at him like going, no, stop. We don't want to go there.
It sounds like some weird episode of Family Guy, doesn't it? You know, where like Stewie shows up all like
Jacked. There was an episode like that.
All right.
Well, Anna's retired now, and Angelo got her on the the program.
For laughs like that, join us Thursday night in Chicago, 8 p.m., April 26th at the Laugh Factory in Chicago. It is it's right off of it's right by Wrigley Field, Frank. It looks to like there's a lot of fun nightlife and stuff going on around there. So I'm excited for this. You know, I must say, as the backpack specialist in the Mirror Camp, thank you, Datsu Sara, I was just a tad worried in when we started formulating this idea. I thought, well, gosh, is that going to be good for Frank? But then the more we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, that's actually really good for Frank.
Yeah.
An hour for Frank to just get up and talk like we do is a great thing probably when you're a couple of days out from a fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, what am I going to do? Go hide in the room and sit there? And that's one thing that's why I like having my family around me, my wife, my friends. I mean,
yeah.
It's a distraction. I mean,
Yeah.
when it's time to focus on the fight, it's time to focus on the fight. And you have your moments during the camp that, or during the week that we'll drill and we break down. But it can't be a 24/7. You'll burn yourself out. Some guys like to meditate. I like to actually tell jokes. It's one thing that I'm actually, leading up to the fight, like I'm notorious that guy that just keeps dropping one-liners and jokes that I've read on the internet and just starting discussions and debates. And I think that it helps pass the time, and it's amusing and it's fun. And so it's something that I would be doing anyways. And now it's one other thing that we can bring the fans in. It's like, hey, you'll be able to see what I look like 2 days before a fight, how I relax, how I chill out. I'm well under the 265 limit, so it isn't like I'll be miserable. I mean, the only thing is I can't have a drink with anybody. Unless Mrs. Mears turns around.
No, we're not going to be doing that. That's for after the fight.
We'll sneak it
I don't know, man.
No.
We've had some pretty awesome knockouts.
Ah.
Having your favorite beer right before the fight. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm coaching. I'm just saying. My man's gotten some highlight knockouts.
Well, we're going to
There's a little bit of beer ritual I do the night before fights, and we missed it at the Hunt fight.
Yes, we did.
And so Angelo gets on my case about it.
Oh.
Because we didn't have the right beer.
Oh, yeah.
But but my other fights with Angelo, where I drank a beer the night before.
Mm-hmm.
I drink a certain type of dark beer that I get from it's Brazilian.
Oh, okay.
Zengu. It's spelled X. That or
What's the other one?
Rochford.
Yes.
It's
The expensive one.
ROCHFORT. It's a Belgium.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal beer. And it's like just the night before you drink a beer, you relax, kind of hang
All
out.
right, I'll tell you what. Well, let's see if we can have the Chicago Laugh Factory get one of those kinds of beers, and then you can have that post-show.
Yeah.
We'll kind of
during show
or during the show. Yeah. Okay, well, however you do it, but we'll see if we can get them to have that.
But then we have the part of the ritual is that James and Robert have to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's me and the cornerman all have a beer together.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, well then maybe they can, and the audience can join you in it, right?
I just realized you'll never be able to corner me now. We'll get you an O'Doul's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever drank an O'Doul's?
No.
That's gross, dude.
It's an alcohol free beer.
I mean, I've heard
you're
what
aware
it
of
is.
it, right?
Yeah.
It's
That'd
not
be
like
funny.
being vegan, though, dude. Like, this does not taste like
it-
beer. Does it taste like beer
I
to
don't know.
you?
I never had
It's
one.
terrible.
I've
Is it?
never had a
It's
beer,
horrible,
so I
man.
won't know the difference.
This is true.
Yeah.
I like me my beer, Frank, and O'Doul's doesn't make
All right.
the
You
cut.
just got to be careful of whose coffee you drink.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I thought we were plugging this coffee.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Ellefson Coffee.
That's right. Ellefson Coffee.
Go to Ellefson Coffee Co. and use the promo code Phone Booth for 10% off your purchase. Was that what
You don't
were talking
remember when
about?
you drank my coffee the other night? Or this was probably about 6 weeks ago. And you're like, oh, God, that's awful.
God. Yes.
You drank his coffee?
You know what? I didn't even drink it because I could smell some kind of alcohol coming toward my face. Yeah.
So this was 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, it's during the week, so I shouldn't, I don't drink during the week. But we were out, and I was like, oh, I have a black coffee. And so the bartender was like, you don't want anything in it? And I'm like, nah, I shouldn't. He's like, well, you don't want a tequila in there. We got free tequila. I'm all, I look left, look right. I'm like, yeah, screw it. Put a shot of tequila in there. Wasn't hurt. So he put this coffee in front of me, right? And I've been drinking coffee all night, so now I got the special coffee. It's loaded, right? So it's sitting there, and before I get to take a drink of it, Richard reaches over and grabs it. And what's worse
Because
is,
I had one coming too.
right, my nutritionist is right there. So he takes a sip, and he looks at me and goes, and then so Aaron's like, have you been spiking your coffee? I'm like, I wasn't, but I was trying to now.
And of course, I don't see this coming, so I make a big thing, and I'm like, oh God, what is in this?
This is definitely not Ellefson
No.
Coffee.
Oh.
Have you noticed a trend that he does that? No, because then there was tonight, right?
All right,
It
that'll
kind of follows
segue-
along the. We're going to
Okay.
segue into that. We'll
Okay.
get
Yeah.
into it. But once again, like I'm looking at him, and it wasn't like it was a real discreet. Hey, Frank. Because Richard's mind is not like my brain. Like, let's face it. In another life, I'd be a total criminal. I just somehow got lucky that I was loved enough that I didn't go that route.
You are loved.
Yes,
You're
but we so Richard does he drinks it. He's real loud. Everybody at the table. Oh my God, there's something there, dude. There's something wrong with that. I'm like looking at him. All, actually, there wasn't. But thank you, buddy. So then I had to like take it to the bar and like then
Frank actually told it. He's like, well, that doesn't sound right.
Bartender.
I'll return
So
this.
I go and I sit there. I'm looking at him like it wasn't good. I'm like I'm not. Just make me a regular coffee. So no alcohol for me. Damn it.
All right, that leads to tonight. We do have fights to talk about, but
This is funny, huh?
Frank and Angelo contributed organically to tonight's show in a way that cannot be delayed. We have to tell the story right away. It was a real comedy of errors in the parking lot here at the Bent Pixels studio this evening. All right, so here's what happens.
Can I tell? It's funnier if they hear my version of what I heard, and then you can tell the backstory.
Okay, let's just set the stage. So the plan was we're actually
practice.
Frank's training.
Yep.
I was actually going to go to training.
Yeah,
and
I thought you were going to go to
I'll be there tomorrow night. We didn't have the show all planned out and everything, so I thought, you know what? I'm getting out of work late. Let me go ahead and just go up to the studio, get everything set up. So I figured you guys would be arriving around 8 or so, and Mikey and I get here about 7:30. We get everything set up. Now, Mikey and I are in here. We get the show set up. 7:30 turns to 8. 8 turns to 8:30. 8:45. We're getting closer to 9. And Mikey and I are kind of starting to go, this is weird. I hadn't heard from anybody. I wonder if everything is okay. Now, can I tell him what he said to me? I should tell him what he saw out in the parking lot.
Okay, all right. Then that
And
can
then
set
it
up
goes
your
to you.
story. Okay.
Yeah, go there.
Yeah,
go there.
okay.
Well, and then also the reason why we're late is because
Brett Okamoto.
Brett Okamoto from ESPN was going to come and what the Bellator told me was like, hey, the ESPN guy Brett, and I know Brett for years now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna come. He's
Most handsome guy on
he wants-
Media Row,
He
by the
wants to
way.
watch. He's gonna come watch your training session. I'm like, ah, cool, whatever. Brett comes in, watches. He goes, oh, I was going to do an interview too. And then Brett, because he saw that I was very uncomfortable with my back after training, he goes, well, we could just do another time. I'm like, no, you're here. You already made the trip. Let's do it. So we get in the car. We start talking. So that's why it prolongs even longer.
Yeah.
I get going, and I forgot to call you. And then I made the mistake because the Escalade was on. And since the time change, I haven't changed the manual clock.
Yeah.
So as I'm looking up, just absentmindedly, I'm like, oh, it's only 8:04, 8:03.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's 9:04. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was an hour off. And so I didn't think to even say, hey, real quick, Brett, let me call Richard, let him know I'm behind. I'm like, oh, they were probably expecting me about now. We're doing good on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't me, see?
Right. I
No, it was
thought what
me.
I assumed was that Angelo had somehow commandeered the interview and that you guys might still be there. But that turned out not to be the case. Okay, so here's where this gets really crazy. So Mikey and I are sitting here in the studio, kind of wondering where everybody is. And Mikey says, you got your mic on there, Mikey? Tell everybody what you said to me.
Well, I ran down to I ran to my truck to grab some gaff tape, and I see a white Escalade parked next to my truck, and there's a girl in the driver's seat. And so I come up and I'm like, "Is Mrs. Meir here?" And I'm like, "I think she's out in the parking lot." So I'm like, "Is Frank with her? Like, have they been sitting there for a while?" And then so that's pretty much it. I passed it on to Richard.
So after a few minutes, I thought, because I thought maybe you two arrived together. Maybe you're talking in the car for a second. But then enough time passed, I thought, well, this is weird. Let me go down there and look. And now it's dark. I have horrible vision. Everybody always sees me with my glasses. I'm nearsighted and farsighted. It's awful. If I didn't have contacts in right now, you guys, Frank's face would be blurry to me. So I go downstairs, and now Angelo and Frank both drive white Escalades. That's going to be important to the story. Sure enough, there is a white Escalade sitting there on the other side of Mikey's truck. And I walk over to the Escalade, and behind the wheel is a petite, raven-haired, attractive woman wearing glasses. Now, that definitely describes Mrs. Meir.
Yeah.
Okay?
Very true.
So as I started to approach the window to see if she wanted to come in the studio so she didn't have to wait out in the car, I thought, no, I don't. She was looking down at her phone, right? She's looking at her phone. I thought, well, I'm not going to go up in the night and knock on the window and scare her. Maybe she shoots me and guns me down with one of the Meir family weapons, and then that really casts a pall over the direction of the future of the podcast. So I stepped away. I walked away from the car because I was actually afraid she was going to look up and be like, huh, So I walked away all the way over to my car. I called Mrs. Meir on the phone, because clearly she's in the parking lot. And when she answered the phone, this is how certain I was that was her. When she answers the phone, I say, "Do you want to come in the studio?" And she goes, "This is Jenny." And I go, "Yeah, I know. Don't you want to come in the studio?" And she goes, "I'm at home." And I go, "Oh, well, that's weird." And then I basically just explained what happened the way I just explained it to you.
But you didn't tell her who it was. You hadn't figured it out yet.
No, I did not know. No one had told me who was coming with who.
Right.
Any of that.
Would you tell
I did not
Mrs.
know
Meir,
it was Anna.
And here's the thing. The way he even ends it. Like, you don't do that, dude. You don't. Oh, really? It's not you?
No.
Kinda weird.
No. I didn't end it that way.
How'd you end it? With her?
I went into detail. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. Well, I said, there's some girl sitting over there alone in the parking lot.
That's terrible,
Keep
man.
going.
But I said, it looks like
she's
you.
waiting for somebody.
I said, yeah.
So all the married men at home right now can realize the phone call I'm about to receive.
And I said, but it looks, and she goes, well, is she outside the studio? And I go, no, she's over like across the parking lot, and she's probably waiting for, because we are in a complex of other little workspaces. And so we're not the only people here. And I said, well, she's probably
hiding
waiting
far enough away the parking lot so that she's hidden. Right?
She's waiting for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so she goes, oh, okay. She goes, well, I'll call Frank. She goes, I think he was doing an interview. By the way, that's the first I'm hearing of the interview. That's the first I'm hearing that there was going to be any delay.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And normally Frank would text me or call me or something. So, so I said, oh, she goes, well, I think he's doing an interview. I'll call. Now, she's just this calm with me on the phone. Oh, okay. Well, I think he's doing an interview. I'll call him. Boy. I barely had.
You can imagine where this phone call is coming.
Yeah, that call on the other side, because it's on speaker, too. I'm like,
yeah. No.
So I get Mrs. Meir calls me and goes, Richard just called me right now. I'm like, yeah, babe, I'm just finishing up the interview. She goes, okay. She goes, there's some girl waiting outside the studios, dark hair, glasses. I'm all, what? That was it. I was like, oh, shit. I'm sitting there like, Richard said there's some girl. I'm like, and then immediately I go, is it Anna, like who's waiting for us, who drives an Escalade, who has dark hair and wears glasses?
Yeah, because you knew Anna was coming.
Yes,
Angelo knew Anna was meeting you guys.
She goes, well, how could Richard not know that it's Anna? I'm like, he's fucking blind. Fuck if I know. Hold on. You know what I mean? So that's why I call you up. I'm like, Richard, go take a picture. It's Anna, please. Oh, God.
And Angelo's laughing in the car. I can hear him. And now we're all sort of started. Everybody's laughing but Frank. Yeah. Angelo's laughing. I'm laughing.
I'm like, all jokes aside, guys. This isn't fun.
Yeah, Frank's like, I'm actually very serious right now. Could you just take a photo with her and hold up a newspaper with today's headline underneath it? And
if anybody's not aware, Mrs. Mir is extremely jealous and very aware.
17 years, man.
I mean, and I'm her property. And
yeah. And I still was like, well, I don't want to scare Anna. And Frank's like, she's unarmed. Just go get her out of the car.
She don't have a gun. They don't have a gun.
Pose for a photo together. Get it to me immediately. Yeah. So, yeah.
Just because I mean, from my wife's point of view, she's like, wait a minute, motherfucker. There's some girl waiting outside the studios. You know what I mean? Like, is it a crazy fan?
Away.
You know, like some fan that now, like, you know, and she's thinking like some stalker's going to come grab me. You know what I mean? And, you know, I get it. You know, she thinks that there's some kind of crazy female fans that want to throw themselves at me. I'm like, I'm kind of getting, I don't think so.
Yeah.
They fail to realize it's actually, they're stalking.
It's Angelo.
Well, yeah. Well, and the thing is that I never really, thought about that before, but, because under light, although Anna and Jennifer are both attractive, they're, Anna's Filipino, like you can, they're not exactly doppelgangers in terms of like
unless
skin
you're blind
tone
as a
and
bat
stuff.
and cross
Unless
the
you're
parking
blind
lot.
as a bat.
But the general characteristics, the petite stature, the long dark hair, the Escalade, the glasses,
the timing, like everything. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
No, all the pieces fit together.
Yeah,
it makes
it's
sense.
like a conundrum of comedy. Actually.
It just.
Thank you, Angelo.
We can all
yes, a conundrum. Frank? Did you tell that to Mrs. Mir? Were you like, no, babe? It's like a conundrum of comedy.
The only part I had to get across to her was that when she's like, "How can he not know that that's not Anna?" I'm like, "He's blind. Yeah. He can't see for shit." Like, really? I mean, because it's like, I'm like, babe, he's blind. There's no crazy fan waiting for me outside the studios. I don't even think, I guess they could look up Brent Pixels, but.
Yeah.
I don't know, can you?
Yeah, you could find us.
Damn. I've had fans come knock on my door. You can find people.
Yeah. Well, that's another story for another day.
No, so far everybody's been pleasant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a couple of people tattoos show up with me on them, but
Wow.
Have you ever met the guy that has your face on his calf or whatever?
I haven't
that
met that
is?
guy. No.
Yeah.
But I've met a couple signatures.
Yeah.
Where people have my autograph tattooed on them.
Wow.
Is it one that you signed?
Well,
like at some point, did they have you sign it and then they inked it?
One was a guy that had me come in. It was in Canada, and I signed his arm, and then he left, and then came back and had an artist ink it in. Mm-hmm. And then one was a lady who had my face tattooed onto her. And I took a picture with her and stuff. I was like, that's commitment. I got to.
Yeah. Did you guys discuss that decision at all? Or did you just pose for the photo?
She already had it done. So I don't know.
I'm saying you were a talker out of it. But I mean, just maybe the thought process that went into that, what motivated it, Like when the idea went off in her head.
No, because it actually, me.
That's what I would.
Kind of makes
that's what
me
I'm there
uncomfortable.
for.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Hold on, don't run off so quickly, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you about your life choice.
The only one actually I felt bad about. This was years ago. Shit, this might have been, I think, probably 2006, 2005. I mean, way early into my career.
Yeah.
But I already had the tattoo on my stomach that Jennifer and I share. Now, if anybody sees the tattoo I have on my belly.
What is that?
It's just a phrase that I had came up with when her and I were dating, and we wanted to get matching tattoos.
So what is it? What's the phrase?
2 bodies, many minds, one spirit, right? So it was 2 bodies, the two of us, many minds, because Jennifer.
It's weird. Whenever I've been that close to your abdomen, I'm trying frantically to get away from you. Yeah. So I've never had time to.
You're not appreciating the view? Yeah.
No.
So so the many minds is because, Jen, she's into astrology. We all have our downfalls in life. My wife believes that the planets somehow affect your personality.
Yeah.
I love her, but,
Come on, yes.
You got to accept the good with the bad. Do you believe in that shit, man?
I'm just saying it's a possibility. Dude.
Now you're just being a troll.
Frank, God loves you, bro.
Angelo believes in it if there's like a free psychic reading involved.
So, but I like psychology. So I do
Yes.
think that we have many traits, many personalities.
Sure.
We're an encompass of many parts of us. You know what I mean? And I think most humans can relate to that. People realize that there's many facets to who you are. I feel like we're a conglomerate of just different personalities and minds and all smashed into one being that makes up our full psyche. So that's where I came up with the many minds. And then one spirit, you know, the whole soulmate thing, we're cut from the same cloth. So Jennifer actually has it on her lower back, and then I have it on my stomach. Well, hers goes in the opposite direction mine goes, so that when we spoon, they actually connect and make a circle.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
Yeah,
Man,
so
there's a lot of thought to that one,
right?
That's not like those. That's not like the tattoos when people just put, only God can judge me. Like,
Right. It's callbacks. I like
that
it.
being
It's callback.
said-
you know what? No, let me give proper credit.
Okay.
That is very, very romantic.
yes,
Frank.
it is.
Thank
It
you.
is. It is.
So
Well done.
So
Yes.
out of all my tattoos, that's a very personal one with my
Yes.
wife and I.
Yes.
So one time I think it was we were in Sacramento and it was WEC there. So maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was 2008. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, I'm walking up the stairs. Fans are taking pictures with me. I'm walking, so this one guy goes, "Oh, I copied your tattoo." Now I'm thinking one of the kanjis behind my arm. You know, at the time I didn't have many. I had my last name still on my right arm before I got it covered. And so, I'm like, "Oh, really?" And so he lifts up his shirt and he has that tattoo on his belly. So right off the bat, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not that he's aware of it.
Yeah. Right.
But
he doesn't understand.
He doesn't
that.
understand the meaning of
Yeah.
the tattoo. So now that you guys know the meaning, you can see
Yeah.
how it's kind of awkward, right?
Right.
What to add to the awkwardness is that because he got it off of the cover of the magazine when I was on Muscle and Fitness, I'm turned to the side. I'm not straight straight on. I'm more of like, it's like a quarter turn, like fighting stance. So you can only make out part of the tattoo. So when he showed up the artist only pulled up, even though there's 3 phrases, right?
Yes.
2 bodies, many minds, one spirit.
Yeah.
He only got the many minds, one spirit,
Okay.
right? And then centered that.
Oh.
So
okay.
then as I'm looking and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you mine too."
Yeah.
So I lift up my shirt and he's looking and I'm looking at his, and now the realization that he copied a tattoo and fucked it up.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for him. Like I'm looking
Yeah.
at him like, okay, I felt awkward at first that's the tattoo you chose to copy. But now I just feel bad that
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
But at least later on that night, when you and that guy were spooning, that they lined up.
it would have to be like, see, and it worked out appropriately because if he and I spooned, it'd be like
And ladies and gentlemen,
if you guys at home that are,
this
once
is
again, you got to get
exactly-
the YouTube. I'm putting my fingertips together.
Yeah, like Chinese handcuffs.
Yeah.
this is exactly why if you're in Chicago,
April 26th.
April 26th,
8 p.m.,
guys,
Laugh Factory.
Factory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Good job.
Yeah.
So there's a guy out there with 2/3 of a tattoo
That you've spooned with.
that I yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Fight talk time.
All right.
Here we go. We got, first of all, a couple of fights to preview this coming weekend. This Atlantic City card for the UFC kind of snuck up on me. Sometimes you have those weeks where a fight card will just sneak up on you. And this next weekend was one of those nights. It's, I believe, an FS1 card. Main event rematch: Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson. A rematch of their 2000.
Actually, wait. The main event says Kevin Lee and Barboza.
Oh, let's. Well, since that actually is the main event. Thank you, Angelo. Go ahead and go to Frankie and Cub before we get into Barboza and Lee. This I guess is technically the co-main event. But number 3 ranked featherweight Frankie Edgar taking on number 4 ranked featherweight Cub Swanson. The rematch of when these two fought back in 2014, when Edgar submitted Swanson with a neck crank, I believe. So first of all, cool that you're seeing them rematch. 2, great fight. And how about the fact that the better part of 4 years passes, and both these guys, that was like an eliminator type fight back then.
Yeah, they're number
And
3, number 4,
and it
right
still
now.
is now.
Yeah.
Really a credit to both of them for their longevity and their tenacity and how long they've hung around. What do you think, Frank?
No, I agree with you. I think Cub is, you know what, he's ever improving. You know, I mean, Cub Swanson still gets better throughout the years. I mean, and Frankie Edgar's just always been phenomenal. I know in his last fight against Ortega, he got caught with a real hard elbow. But, I mean, look, dude, you fight enough, you're going to get caught. I mean, there's a few guys that, you know, out of the, you know, thousands of professional elite 1% guys in the world that are fighters. There's a few that, you know, like a DJ or a John Jones that don't seem to ever get caught. But I mean, the best fighters in the world, you fight long enough. I mean, Daniel Cormier is one of the, you know, the number 2 light heavyweight of all time, you know, and I've seen him get knocked out, you know. I watched Stipe Miocic get knocked out by Stefan Struve, and Stipe is now one of the most recognizably, you know, dominant heavyweights the UFC's ever had.
Some would say maybe the second greatest UFC heavyweight of all time.
Thank you.
So, I mean, like, if it happens, you know what I mean? The part that's to be interesting is that Edgar has never been put away like that before.
Yeah.
He's survived wars. I remember watching his fights with Gray Maynard, you know, getting dropped in 3 or 4 times in that first round.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was amazing.
It was a come from behind.
That he came back from it.
Crazy fight.
It was one of the most phenomenal fights. I mean, still to this day, when people go, hey, what most impressive fights you've ever seen? I think it was the second one that they had.
Yeah.
It was the second Gray and Frankie fight was just unbelievable because, I mean, Gray at that time was the top of his game. And then, you know, he had beaten Frankie in their first fight pretty soundly. And I mean, it wasn't a one-sided ass whooping, but, you know, he beat Frankie their first fight, controlled him, out-wrestled him, took him down. And then in the second fight, it looked like he was going to, you know, Frankie wasn't going to make it out of the first round. Not only did he make it out, but he survived and came back and knocked him out, I think, in the 4th.
Yeah.
First guy to ever knock out. I think Gray was undefeated at that time.
Yeah, after it looked like he had just about knocked Frankie Edgar out.
Yeah.
The way he came back.
So, I mean, Edgar has been known as, you know, he's like a modern-day, real-life Rocky Balboa. You know what I mean? Like, he's that guy that just... You can't, you know, he just, you know, can't put this guy away. He survives. He comes back. You know, his losses against Jose Aldo. I think in the last fight, Jose looked pretty dominant against him. But in their first fight, I actually thought, you know, he won.
But the second fight was pretty close too.
Yeah, right? The second fight was really close. But I think the first fight, he actually won it. You know, I thought that he outworked Jose from rounds 3, 4, and 5. And then, you know, his fight with Benson Henderson were very close. You know, so... Edgar's never been put away by anybody. I don't think anybody...
Or Ortega. I mean, this most recent.
Yeah. So my point being is that, you know, out of all his losses, no one could say they whooped his ass.
Right.
Ortega, you know, knocked him out. You know, and that's the first time that Frankie, after such an illustrious career, has had to deal with this. So I'm curious how he bounces back. I mean, there's a lot to that. You know, you got to think that he has that confidence in the back of his mind. I have it in certain areas. I go into fights knowing that there's no way you're going to submit me. Now, look, could it happen? Yeah, I mean, shit, you know, I watched Josh Barnett get choked out by Ben Rothwell. I never thought that would ever happen.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
I didn't think that was possible. You know what I mean? So it can happen, but there's still kind of there's a confidence I have where I'm like, well, we go here, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
You know? So you got to think Frank Edgar kind of has that air about him where it's like, well, no matter how bad it gets, you know, I'm still fighting until the closing bell. I'm coming after you. You can't put me away. No one ever submitted him. No one ever, knocked him out before. And now he got knocked out. So you got to wonder, is he questioning himself? Does it question his chin? Does he wonder, like, well, you know, have all those shots caught up to me? Am I now susceptible to being knocked out, whereas before I could recover? And so that's why I think it's a very pivotal fight for Edgar and how his confidence is. Because, I mean, you've seen it before in fighters in the past. Most notably was George St. Pierre. If you watch, George used to have some pretty sick stand-up. His kicking, he had that Shotokan or Kyoken or
Shotokan karate
background, right? Yeah. And, you know, his fight with Matt Hughes, the second fight, you know, threw all kinds of kicks, that left kick to the head, you know, really showcased his stand-up abilities. And then he fought Matt Serra. And if you watch every fight Matt Hughes or, you know, George had after the Matt Serra fight, his stand-up is very tentative. He's very nervous almost. It's like he...
Until he started training with Freddie and started understanding the jab.
A little bit, better, but still...
He was more careful. He was more careful.
Right. And, you know...
His approach.
His approach. He realized, damn, I'm not invincible. If you catch me with a good shot, I could go down. and then, obviously Freddie showed him how to use the jab, but that open kicking style and much more open stand-up style that he had, he never got back to it.
Yeah.
He
Like
completely
spin
dumped
kicks
it.
and
You never see him do that anymore. Did his hands get better with, his jab, his left hook got better, but even his right hand, he doesn't sit down in the pocket and throw it.
He's worried about
He's worried about return fire. And so that was a pivotal point in a fighter's career when they take a shot like that. In one sense, a fighter has to be able to learn from his mistakes, but you also have to have a short memory. You have to sit there and go, okay, I get it. That could happen, but here's the reality of it. That
you
always
got a
could have
short
happened.
memory.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that always could have happened.
Yeah.
You could have been knocked out your very first fight. Luckily, you just, because of your skills and the guys that you fought, you didn't get caught. But that was always a possibility. Even though you didn't think it was a possibility and you fought with confidence that it wasn't a possibility, it always existed. But then fighters, they get in their own head. They sit there and go, oh, shit, I don't want that to happen again. So then they completely change their fighting style, and it can screw them. It can change them, especially somebody like Edgar. He can't fight calculated in a slow-paced sniper shot. He's got a shorter reach than pretty much everybody he's going to face. He's a smaller guy. Even at featherweight. He's not a big featherweight.
No, he's a small featherweight.
Right? So he has to fight with a lot of motion, a lot of activity, and a lot of volume. Well, guess what? All that volume means you're going to get hit. He's not fighting Machida style where, Machida in his golden age, I'm going to move around. You're never going to hit me, but I'm only going to land 2 shots around. Well, okay, Edgar, you can't do that. So if Edgar becomes tentative and this affects him, it could really be a tailspin for his career.
Well, and it's a great test for that because it's a prior opponent.
Right.
It's one that he has faced and one that he has beaten.
Right.
And
By submission.
Right. And it's one that, they're both still sitting there 3 and 4 top contenders just like they were back then. So everything is mirrored. So if you want to see how you stack up now compared to where, it's an opportunity to kind of revisit history.
Well, can I just add this too?
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the whole Frankie Edgar tentative. I wonder if he's wondering. I'm wondering if Cub Swanson's wondering it too, because he got submitted by the same opponent, T-City. Brian Ortega submitted him.
Yeah.
And the last time he lost to Frankie Edgar was by submission. Yeah. So is Swanson kind of like, I don't know, man.
Boy, how great is that for Brian Ortega? I mean, what does he have in common with these two? He's beaten both of them.
Finished.
Hey, here's a boxing question for you, Angelo.
Okay.
Do you think Cub Swanson looks like Johnny Tapia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
I asked him that once, and he said that he had been that a few people had mentioned that to him before because
different kind of physiques, because Tapia was real stocky and short and thick.
Yeah, crazy.
But as far as from the neck up,
but here's the thing. Lighter weight class fighters, both known for their tenacity and grit and everything, heavily tatted, both from Albuquerque. That's weird. They kind of have some.
Swanson is the La Vida Loca of
exactly.
Of MMA?
Well, without the dark issues.
Yeah.
We don't know, right?
I'm pretty sure that if Cub had any of the issues, even half that
I don't know.
Johnny had, we would all be aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but Tapia, obviously,
there's a book.
Prolific drug problem.
Oh yeah.
Suicidal and
great documentary about him too.
I don't know if it's
on Netflix or not. Yeah, it was.
I'd like to watch that guy. I only casually know a little bit of his history because of he made news for a lot more than just his fighting.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see about it because he tried committing suicide multiple occasions, right? And then one time wasn't he pronounced dead?
Yes. Yeah, he had actually been dead for a minute or two, and he had real depression problems. And he was he seemed like a real sweet guy too, because I was friends with Paulie Ayala that fought him twice, and
Texas guy.
Paulie's from Fort Worth, where I'm from, and so it was around that time, and he had a couple of fights with hotly contested fights with Tapia, and but he seemed like a nice guy. I know he had kind of a horrible past that he had come from because his mom was murdered when he was really young, and he had dealt with drug problems and stuff like that. And then fighting kind of saved him. But then, as I recall, I think after fighting, he had dealt with some of those issues too. Although, according to his wife, when he died, it was of natural causes, but it may have been one of those things where you just build up so much damage on your body that one man's natural causes.
Well, I thought Wasn't it 2 months though after a fight that he passed away finally?
That he had fought a couple of months prior, maybe.
I thought.
I mean, he's another guy that fought late into his life.
I wanted to end the Tapia subject with a funny positive story. So Freddie Roach obviously trained Johnny Tapia to win a world title. So Freddie was telling me the story. I'm not remembering the fight now, but it was a big deal fight. And Johnny, for whatever reason, was kind of sleepy during the fight. So Freddie, like,
terrible time to get sleepy.
Well, he just wasn't fighting the way Freddie knew he could. Now, this, Frank, like there's a certain rhythm between coach and fighter where you just know each other. Like no one else really knows what's going on, but you know the rhythm, right? And Freddie had this with Johnny. So I think it's like right past the halfway point, he slaps Johnny Tapia. And he's like, wake the F up. You need to get going. Johnny goes on to win the fight. So then in the locker room.
Gave him the old Emmanuel Stewart salute to Lennox Lewis.
Yes, that's right.
Knock this motherfucker out.
And that was on the Lennox Lewis Mike Tyson fight. Very good. Very good, my boxing colleague. Yes.
Quit fucking around.
So in the locker room, Freddie Roach is waiting for Johnny. Johnny just scores this big win. He's walking in. And he looks happy. So Freddie's like, all right, this is going to be awesome. So then he thought Johnny was going to come to hug him because it was a big win, right? And then Johnny walks right up to Freddie and slaps him, whack, super hard. Then he smiles and goes, that was for earlier, coach.
Well, you know what? He was probably happy to take it on a win, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. Very good.
I wonder which fight it was. I'm trying to look at.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ask Freddie. Like, hey, which fight was that?
What year do you think it was?
I was thinking it might have been the Paulie Ayala fight in Albuquerque, but it was a big fight. It was a big.
Tapia lost both those fights.
Oh, okay, no.
Because it had to be 1-1, right? Yeah. Let's take a look at the co-main event there, Mikey. Edson Barboza and Kevin Lee, another top 10 contenders fight. This one. Over in the lightweight division, you got number 4 ranked Barboza coming off of that loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov back on New Year's. Well, it was December 30th, and then number 7 ranked Kevin Lee, who is coming off of a loss to Tony Ferguson. These two matching up. Now you've got 2 guys with striking skills, but only one guy who's got a wrestling pedigree, that being Kevin Lee. My thought, Frank, is that wrestling pedigree may come in handy in this fight if Edson Barboza is kicking at you.
I agree. I think that, Edson's going to throw kicks. He's never shown hesitation to do so. I think that's one of the advantages, that he has such versatile and quick legs, but he doesn't hesitate to throw them. Where some other guys seem to get gun shy. It's like, well, if you don't throw the kick and you still get taken down anyways, what the hell was it worth? But I feel like Kevin is just a well-rounded fighter. We've seen that he's very good on the ground with the wrestling, and good striker. So I think that kind of nullifies out the stand-up portion. Whereas, I'd still probably give a slight edge because of the range to Barboza. But I feel that eventually he's going to catch him and drag him down. And I think that, just whenever I see a guy who's a specialist versus the guy who's the jack of all trades, me personally, I kind of always tend to lean towards the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And this is the only reason why I'm saying we'll see. I'm doing my Chappelle. We'll see, Frank. Because Barboza losing to Khabib, come on, guys. It's Khabib.
Yeah.
And, like that one, I'm like, well, do you think Kevin Lee would have done well against Khabib?
No.
So,
I don't either.
So that's my whole thing.
Yeah, but I'm not even using that as the
now here's
common denominator.
So my common denominator I would lean towards Kevin Lee being the favorite because he's younger, like you said, strong, blah, blah, blah. The common thing I look at is the Tony Ferguson fight. And Barboza was actually beating Tony Ferguson up until the illegal up kick, which kind of rocked Barboza's head, which eventually led to a finish. Versus Tony Ferguson's striking kind of bothered Kevin Lee a little bit, and then it eventually ended up in a submission. So I don't know. I know they both.
I also think, though, that Ferguson's striking really evolved compared to when he first started.
But does he hit as hard as Barboza?
No, but he throws longer, straighter punches.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Going back
to... And remember the last time we watched the Barboza fight at your house? It was during the Holly Holmes-Shevchenko. Remember how he kicked the shit out of Gilbert Melendez's leg.
Oh yeah.
So
Totally.
I'm just saying.
Oh, if it's on the feet, it's anybody's game. I mean, this is a war.
And
I'm
I'll
saying
slide
that,
more towards Barbosa if he doesn't go down.
Yeah.
I just think that if it does hit the ground,
I
Kevin's going to be able
Yeah.
to hold him down, and is a pretty good submission game.
I agree.
I mean,
Fair
I'm also
enough.
a little biased. Kevin
That's
trains over there with Drysdale.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good weekend double feature that the UFC has coming at you from Atlantic City this weekend. Before we talk about a couple things that happened this past weekend, fight-wise, I want to give a quick shout-out to Jessica Rose Clark,
Oh, yeah.
Jessie Jess, who was our guest on our last episode.
That was a very fun episode, Richard.
Thank you, Angelo. That is the prevailing opinion among the masses. That show met with rave reviews. People have loved it, and they're talking about it on our social media, and it's not often that I've sort of call back to previous shows specifically for a plug, but I'm just telling you, if you're listening to this episode and for whatever reason you missed the last episode, which was number 188, do yourself a favor, go back and listen. That was an hour of a lot of laughs packed into one show. That was she was a great
it was
guest.
great. You
Oh, they got her back on, huh?
Oh, yeah, and we will have her back on for sure. We're going to do it. She wants to come back on, and it's also like people are like everybody's saying, when can you get her back on? Hurry up. That was awesome.
She
Let's
was
do
fun.
it again.
She fit right in with all the
She
guys.
did. She could flow with wherever we were going. Somebody tweeted, I should have pulled this up, but somebody had a great way of breaking it down. They go, at Miss Jessie Jess on Phone Booth Fighting, show starts with technical talk about camera work in porn. Episode ends with Frank pulling a gun on Jessica.
That's true.
Perfect.
That's true.
And she liked it. So I knew on Twitter she hit like. So I knew she had a good time. Okay. This past weekend, some interesting fights. Let's flip over to Bellator. Your promotional home, Frank. Let's pull up the Chandler Gertz fight. Okay. Now, this was supposed to be, of course, Bellator's former lightweight champion, Michael Chandler, was supposed to be
Fighting Brent Primus, who is the champion.
You're right, for a title shot. Primus got hurt, and if you remember the way that Primus beat Chandler had the weird ankle injury in the middle of the fight. And so, now this is Brandon Gertz and Michael Chandler. Gertz took this fight on short notice.
Michael Chandler gets into his hips, is able to take him down. He separates his shoulder.
See his shoulder?
On that drop right there, is able to put himself in position for a head and arm choke. He puts him unconscious. That's the guy that does not give up in Brandon Gertz. Chandler records his Bellator MMA record.
And Gertz actually moved the way that when he set up that head and arm choke, they were actually against the cage, and Gertz actually moved a little bit away from the cage reflexively, which allowed Chandler to jump on the other side of it, but realizing that he separated his shoulder, I don't think there was any thought to anything. It was just like he was probably in incredible pain. But, so Chandler's back on the winning side of that, and that sets up
I want to see him rematch the kid because
that's coming.
Yeah, because he got the win.
Yeah.
But the only thing that kind of bothered me, I think we talked about this a little bit afterwards. What's the kid's name? Primus again?
Brent Primus, yeah.
Was that even at the post-fight conference, when he had time to watch the video and see that, okay, he put his foot down funny, and that's what dislocated or did whatever injury that Chandler had. But Primus was kind of like, unless he's changed his tune, seemed like he was taking credit, like, well, that was because I threw a kick and I did the damage. It's like, no, fighting's crazy, and and an injury occurred, and you benefited from it, but I don't know. I would have sat there if I win a fight because my opponent gets injured during the fight. It's not directly because I blasted him in the ribs or I pulled his arm off with a submission and he didn't tap but it broke his arm, or it's something that I'm like, okay, I did that. But if it's like, oh, he threw a punch, you ducked, and it hit you in the forehead and it broke his hand, I'm not really going to be ecstatic about that win. It's like, hey, it's fighting. I got the win. If it was flip and you got the win, you'd take it. You get your fight bonus, your win bonus, but you're not going to see me, jumping the cage, beating my chest like I'm King Kong. It's like,
But he just won the world title.
I know, but you know,
Is this any different, really, than Chris Weidman riding off into the world title sunset when really all that happened was Anderson Silva broke his leg because he was throwing so fast?
But I mean, if you talk to Chris, I don't think he was as happy with the second one as he was the first.
So then why not a rematch?
To have a third one?
Yeah.
Well, I think that was actually more on Anderson. He was out
Yeah.
for over a year.
Yeah.
He broke his tibia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if you talk to, I hung out with Chris for 10 days. I mean,
He would want a rematch.
No, yeah, he would have let him completely. In fact, he was happy that the first time he knocked him out. The second time, he wanted to be able to vindicate that, hey, it wasn't luck.
Right.
He wasn't happy. He himself
Yeah.
was like,
And it's
I'm
also
not happy that I broke his leg like that.
And if the freak accident comes in the second one, that's easier because if the first one was a clean win, you've already got that. I mean, you've already shown that. So,
But I mean, and
yeah.
even in that situation, Weidman wasn't happy.
Yeah,
he
right,
much
right.
would have preferred to
Right.
beat Anderson's ass and say, okay, I beat you.
Yeah.
And even though he blocked with the shin, it broke it. It's like, well, you threw the block. He doesn't really. I mean, when I spoke to him, I don't know if he does interviews differently, but it wasn't like he was beating his chest over it. He's like, kind of sucks. I would rather have beat him, convincingly and not have it end on an injury. And so that's one thing kind of like why I want to see the rematch.
It's a fine line. See, what I look for in those situations is I look for the guy who benefited from the injury to first of all say, oh, yeah, we should do that again, and like you said, Frank, not overly celebrate. Now, I will say this, though. I think anytime you get a victory, you deserve to be recognized for getting a victory.
I 100%
just
agree with
because we're both getting in. It's like the conversation we were having with Jesse about when Paige Van Zandt broke her arm in their fight. Yeah. Well, it's not like I say, like the way I put it, it's not like she tripped and fell on the way of the cage and broke
Jesse
her arm.
kicked it.
I understand it happened in the she broke it on
Her
Jesse's forehead.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
But-
Spinning back knuckle.
Spiking back knuckle.
But
Yeah,
that
that's right.
you're in the cage and people are swinging at each other and kicking and something happened. So that does
It'd be
deserve
great,
credit.
But I mean, there was just. You're right. There's a fine line.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't have to sit there and go, well, I'm upset with it. It's like, well, no, I mean, I won the fight. We're in here competitively and I got the win. But you're right. There has to be that, like, we'll rematch immediately. I know that this is not the way I wanted to win.
Right.
It was like, I remember, I mean, this is going back years. It was the second time that Vitor Belfort fought Randy Couture. Mm-hmm. And it was for the light heavyweight championship of the world. And Vitor won.
Okay.
But he won because when he threw a punch, Randy slipped it.
Okay.
And when he slipped, it brushed across Randy's face, sliced his fucking eyeball. Right? So all of a sudden, Randy closes his eye. They clinch against the cage. The referee can see that there's an issue going on, so they take a break, have the doctor come in. The doctor looks at it, opens up, and goes, holy shit, your eyeball's sliced. Somehow, a freak accident with the way the glove was stitched. Somehow, the side of the glove cut Randy's eyeball. Well, all of a sudden, Vitor's the winner, but you can see the look on Vitor's face. He even says, hey, this isn't the way I wanted to win. Now, of course I'll give a rematch. Like, he wasn't, I got it. It's like, well, no, this kind of was lame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a letdown. Like, hey, I'm going to take the belt. I'm the champ. I get it. But, let's fight again and really solidify that I'm the better fighter.
Yeah.
I hear it.
Yep. All right. Let's turn our attention now to what happened over in the UFC this weekend on Big Fox. Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje live up to expectations. The Diamond finishes Gaethje in the fourth round of a war.
That's pretty cool.
We got a little highlights here.
Has Gaethje ever not been in a war?
Exactly. Now Gaethje was real successful with the kicks on Poirier earlier. A real back and forth fight. Poirier hurts Gaethje in the fourth. He's on wobbly legs and finishes him. This was brought up on the commentary, Frank. It's funny because when we sat down, Mikey and I started putting the show together. Mikey said they had watched the fight he and his girl this weekend. He goes, you know, I didn't know Gagey was a wrestler, and I'm like, neither did Gagey. he's so into brawling, and he's so into
like
that
the
war
Brandon Rios
that he
of,
doesn't shoot.
I didn't know he was a wrestler
Yeah.
either.
No,
Yeah.
he's an amazing wrestler.
Yeah, but the thing
Is
is,
he really?
the thing is,
I thought he
is
was a
that-
Thai boxer, like pure kickboxer.
Yeah, he doesn't.
When he was winning in the PFL, or what they call the PFL now, the
are you talking about World Series of Fighting?
yeah, he was destroying people with wrestling and stuff.
Yeah, but he
No kidding. I've always thought, because you see him beat the hell out of people's legs.
He's had
Yeah, and he does that too. He beat the shit out of Dustin Poirier's legs.
He's had plenty of brawls, and that's what's made him such a fan favorite. I mean, he's already in the UFC between this and the Michael Johnson fight.
That was crazy.
Somebody said,
and then didn't they Eddie Alvarez fight? The Eddie Alvarez fight. Was
the Eddie
crazy.
Alvarez,
Yeah,
he
that
lost
was-
that one, but that was a great fight. I wanted somebody, might have been John Morgan, had a great line. He said, I think every year we should have the contenders for the non-Justin Gagey fight of the year. Like that should just, you exclude him out of the category, because like I said, a fight like this, even when he loses, it's incredible. So well done on the part of Dustin Poirier. Very tough fight.
You were
there.
talking about the kicks. I just wanted to say, so that was, like Richard said, it was ebb and flow, back and forth. So the reason why he was going for that low leg kick is because he'd been smashing Dustin Poirier's legs that whole time, and Poirier timed it right. So big credit to Poirier for sticking in there.
Yeah, straight left hand.
Yep.
Co-main event, Carlos Condit.
Watch out, Fedor.
The natural-born killer was supposed to be fighting Matt Brown. Matt Brown got hurt. So Cowboy Oliveira, the Brazilian cowboy, stepped in on short notice and actually submitted Condit. Condit was holding up all right. We pulled up his Instagram page. I just wanted to show this picture that Carlos Condit posted of himself here, and the caption is what's really interesting. He says, wait, go back to, he says, here's his caption: post chokeout, where the fuck am I? What the fuck happened? Feeling kind of warm and fuzzy. Hope I didn't just piss my shorts on live TV. 1,000-yard stare. I've posted plenty of pictures looking like a badass, triumphant and powerful. But here's the flip side: crumpled and weak in defeat. Rough day at the office. Fuck it, though. I had fun, I trained my ass off, and I came to fight. This is what leaving it all out there looked like on Saturday. Much respect to my opponent and his team. Thank you for taking the fight on short notice. Congratulations and best of luck in the future. I don't know what's next, guys. I still love the game, and most days I still feel that fire. I absolutely love what I do, but maybe my time is past. I don't know the answer. This is what I know. This is my passion. I will never stop training, and if that leads me back to the octagon, I'll try to make it bloody for you. Yeah.
Do you know Carlos well, or no?
I've hung out with him on many occasions, especially in Albuquerque. I mean, I've eaten dinner with him and stuff. But he's a pretty quiet guy, well thought out and very introspective. I think actually somebody that has a very good mind for the sport.
Yeah.
I've heard him talk and sat there and listened to his opinions on things, and very well thought out, very good intellectual. But I don't know if broadcasting will ever be in his future, even though he's a good-looking guy who's very intelligent, has the credentials. He's not very much of an extrovert. You know what I mean? Like
charisma.
Yeah, he can sit at a table.
Camera charisma.
Yeah, and very much be okay with not saying anything and until you start talking to him. He's definitely not the if he walks into a room, he's not going to demand people's attention. And so.
But he's the kind of guy you want to just sit and have a like I've always really enjoyed interviewing him. He gives like really introspective interviews.
Yeah, he's a very deep guy. Honestly, a very deep thinker.
He comes from a family of. I don't know if this is, a lot of people know this, but I have a interesting family connection here, because Carlos Condit's dad was the chief of staff to Bill Richardson when he was governor of New Mexico, and my aunt worked with Bill Richardson when Bill Richardson was in New Mexico and then later Secretary of Energy. So I've actually asked her about she doesn't follow MMA at all, but she knows I work in it. And I told her about this guy. And she's like, I remember little Carlos. Like she remembered him when his dad would bring him around the office and everything. So he comes from not a fighting background, but like a
political.
Political background, cerebral background.
Well, maybe he could be that, like the Albuquerque mayor or something.
Yeah, maybe he could go in that type of world. I'm curious. I mean, I think he'd make a great coach.
Yeah,
I think that
I could see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think there's many things open for him. I mean, obviously running a gym, is that kind of guy. So he's somebody that, I think can still stay in the martial arts world. But, is he going to go a Brian Stan direction or, I don't know.
Well, good. I like that caption. I just wanted to read that because I thought that's a pretty cool way to present that. Yeah. Because it's humble, but it's also pretty enlightening. I mean, it's kind of really pulls back the curtain on here's all the things that go through your mind, when you get choked out and you come to. All right, we had a lot of stuff we were going to get to tonight. Now, some of this stuff we're going to have to save for our next episode just in the interest of time, but one thing we're definitely not going to save is Angelo Reyes's boxing segment, Prepare to Get Reyes'd, with some boxing talk.
And I'll try to make it short.
That should be your catchphrase. If we had a sitcom, if we all starred on a sitcom.
You wrote this out?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking this are your notes. I'm reading it. I'm going, why are you asking for a phone booth fighting t-shirt?
He put it in the email.
Because every time I've been on the show, Richard always goes, oh, I got that phone booth fighting t-shirt for you. And then now I rib him about it, and I'm like, dude, I still don't have my phone booth fighting t-shirt. And I wear the two that I have.
I
wear it all the time.
I apologize. I thought you had them all. We need to get you the Ouija board shirt.
The black and the gray.
And then you need the gray cartoon logo shirt, right?
You don't have a black
to collect them all. Oh, you don't? You need a black?
Yes, I need a black and a gray.
Okay. So black and a gray
and the Ouija board.
And the Ouija board. Okay.
Now I would have a 5 days a week.
Yes, you would.
All right.
We have a black version of the...
Yeah, you don't even have it.
I don't even know.
But you know what?
Though,
Hang on. I'm glad you brought that up, Frank. We do have a black version of the logo shirt, but it was a limited run. We only had large and XL. We didn't go to XL. But
that would fit you.
What we'll do is, I can't wear it. We'll give you the XL if you get to 205.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll go with that deal. I'll go with that deal. Okay. So I have time.
Anna, what's he weighing right now?
I don't know.
Above 205.
Yeah.
All right. So, but then this would be leading up to the Chael fight.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All
I'm down with that.
Dude,
I'm down with
we'll
that.
have both of you in camp at the
Until
same
they
time?
put you in the grave, if you make 205, you get the black shirt with the logo on it.
Okay.
I can make it happen for the Chael fight.
You know what? That's
I'm not even putting a time limit on it. You know me, dude. I'm easy.
Okay.
You know, that's a good deal, Angelo, and Frank's. He's prone to do these things. I don't know if you heard this, but when I get my purple belt, he's going to give me Cage's car. Did you know about this? Yeah, yeah, right. If I beat him, I got to get.
So
I think
you
I
get
got
a
to get it
purple
before
belt.
him. Yeah.
Well, you got to roll with Bella for that. You beat Bella, you get the belt.
Can you imagine Cage taking Bella aside? He's like, "Listen, that's my car." If he taps, don't let go. Dad's serious about this.
You're like, I want him unconscious. Screw points.
All right, Angelo, talk to us about some boxing. What is happening? And talk to me like I don't know about boxing.
Even though Richard Hunter,
even though I do,
you know a ton about boxing. So recently, and I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the Hard Rock, which is now going to be soon
Virgin.
Yeah, Virgin. Richard Branson
Hard Rock
was here.
Casino here in Las Vegas.
So Mayweather did this show.
Start over. What's happening with the?
The Hard Rock Casino has sold to Richard Branson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're going to rebrand it the Virgin Casino. I think it happens sometime next year or something.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, I mean, hey, his airlines is awesome. So
yeah, I'm not happy about the Hard Rock changing though. It's my favorite casino.
The Joint's a great venue too.
Yeah,
Joint's a
it
good
is.
venue.
Well,
It's a good venue.
Yeah.
So Showtime was there.
That's your favorite casino?
Yeah.
Why?
I love all the Rock memorabilia.
Oh yeah. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Why did I even ask that?
They walk around, look at all the stuff.
Terrible question, Shane.
Yeah, no, I was. That's one of those things I do. I spoke before my brain was actually turned on. That's actually probably the thing that endears people to me, though.
That's true. That's true. So just 2 weekends ago,
Yeah.
not since Tito Trinidad, I believe, have we had a unified 154-pound champion. That would be junior middleweight. And
Damn, not since Tito Trinidad.
It's been a while.
That was that whole tournament, right?
No, that was the 160 tournament. So then he was the lineal champion.
Yeah.
And then he moved up to 160, and then they did the 4.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with Hopkins and all
yeah,
that.
with Hopkins.
Yeah, go ahead.
But see how good your knowledge is, Richard? That's
I
good.
remember that.
Yeah, so this one was a big fight, so I just want to brush on it because it was in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas. Erislandy Lara fought a hell of a fight against Jarrett Hurd, who's undefeated, Frank, 154. And I don't want to say it's controversial because Gerald Hurd scored a knockdown in the 12th round, and that was the difference on him winning a majority decision. Had he not scored that knockdown, it would have been a draw. So that's how close this division is. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because that division has one of the Charlo twins. And those are some bad twins, man. Those guys can fight. So Jermell Charlo is about to fight for the defend his WBC. And if he beats Austin Trout, now you'll have a unification of WBA, IBF, WBC coming up at 154. So
Boy,
that's
it is a
happening.
season of potential unifications.
Yes, this
isn't it?
is the season of unifications. So that happened, and then this weekend, Frank, Saturday night, big Showtime card again. So it's the return of Adrian Broner versus Vegas' own Jesse Vargas. No titles, just main event. Doing the weight class up.
Now, Adrian Broner is a guy who he's I don't know if he still is, but he's been promoted by Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And what I always think of when I think of Adrian Broner is that, Frank, he does not invest in a backpack specialist. Instead, he appropriates that money towards someone whose job it is to brush his hair.
Well, the recent thing with him now is he's got that beef with the rapper.
No.
I sent it to you.
Well, yeah, but I didn't understand it because I don't know who all those people are.
Okay, so this rapper.
I always have to ask my girlfriend about who is young Takashi. Who is that?
So this rapper was basically betting something like $200,000 or $300,000 against Broner because he's got some rap beef with him. I don't know, but he's throwing it in the camera, and so I thought you were going to pull it up. You didn't research it, so maybe for next time.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to me that a man who has $250,000 in his room did not have any furniture in the room. So I just don't understand.
That's because Rent-A-Center's already come and got it all.
So
Trust me, that $250,000 ain't going to be in there very long either.
So the fun thing with the Broner fight is, Broner's training on the same training camp as Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is the big rising star of Floyd Mayweather.
Yes.
And they're both training with the same coach, Kevin Cunningham, who used to coach Corey Spinks. He coached him to a world championship. So this is kind of like Broner is supposed to be a good guy, Frank. This is don't think of Broner as an undisciplined person. This is supposed to be Broner. I am disciplined. I'm coming to beat Vargas.
So Adrian Broner's turned babyface here.
He's supposed to be. Okay. I don't know because Jesse Vargas, as you know, is quite good.
Actually, I met Vargas before. I think when I did the Latin Awards.
Yes,
we were there. With him. That's where I first met him.
Yeah, he's a very good boxer. He lost to Manny Pacquiao, but he trains out of the Mayweather gym. And if you're thinking favorites, definitely I would side on Jesse Vargas, not just because he's a Vegas guy, but he is actually quite good.
So Vargas is training out of Mayweather's gym now. Have Broner and Mayweather split?
It's not that they're okay. So they're all under the same umbrella.
Okay.
So it's like if you can imagine Al Heyman and Mayweather, it's kind of like the UFC, right? Like they're not split because Kevin Cunningham's a cool with everybody. It's just instead of doing the training camp like in Vegas for Broner, he decided to do it because even Gervonta Davis isn't here at Mayweather's training. He's training over there.
Okay.
With Kevin Cunningham.
Right.
So then that's the fight. And then the other one is, the other twin, which is Jermall Charlo, he's moving up in weight to fight for the WBC 160-pound championship. So it's kind of a fun card. And then actually, Frank, ties back into us, that was the card that Anna would have fought Heather Hardy in.
Oh, that's right.
So
did I see she was?
She's fighting.
She's still on the card.
Yeah,
right?
she's still on the card. She's fighting a very good opponent from Mexico. So that's a fun thing happening this Saturday. And here's how big boxing is. sir, even in Belfast, they have a title fight. Carl Frampton, arguably might be one of the very best 126-pound fighters right now in the world, is fighting Nonito Donaire.
Oh, yeah.
So Nonito Donaire's back up. He's giving it a try in Belfast, and Showtime is airing this all for free for all the viewers on both their Facebook Live and their YouTube, and also on TV.
A little bit of inside information. You know that's why we have Thule and Baby?
No, I don't.
Because Nonito came to our gym one time and was hanging out with us when I had Suffer.
Okay.
And his wife had the small dogs, and then my wife seen his wife with the small dogs.
And Jen was like, I'm going to get better dogs.
Well, no, then she gave her the name of the breeder. And
oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
so we got our dogs from
Interesting.
Donaire's breeder.
Oh,
All right.
okay. And you've been happy with the dog since, right?
Oh, yeah, you know I love my little Thule.
I know
Oh,
you do.
yeah.
I actually thought about putting up a picture of you with Thule on National Pets Day, but I'm like, nah.
No, that would have been a good idea.
Would it
of
have been?
course,
I don't know.
yeah, absolutely. Everybody likes everyone loves the juxtaposition of big Frank Mir body with little Thule dog body. Everybody loves that. It's actually Butch Bradley does a great routine about it, because he's like, at first it was cute. He goes, and then I see the dog in Frank's lap, and she's wearing a little skirt, and he's straightening the skirt, and he's tidying up the clothes, and I realized, oh, this guy's crazy. like a supervillain just stroking his, little Persian cat, or, whatever they do. Dr. Evil. All right, now tell me and Frank Angelo what this issue is with getting with not being able to get this heavyweight fight happening between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder.
So the story that's out right now is that
that's a fight everybody wants to see.
Well, it would be the unification fight. It's
That's
the one
right.
that we built up here at Phone Booth Fighting.
Yes.
We finally found out how awesome Deontay Wilder is.
Hasn't happened since when's the last time there's been a unified heavyweight champion?
Lewis? I mean, it would be Klitschko.
Well, the Klitschko's
but Klitschko lost to Tyson Fury. Then Tyson Fury got into cocaine, and it's a hell of a drug.
Okay, so see, here's what makes it tricky with boxing. 5 minutes after they unify a title, somebody gets stripped. That's what happens in boxing.
Because of drugs?
No. What happens is one of those organizations decides that they're mad that you won't fight their mandatory challenger, and that title gets stripped a lot of times pretty quickly.
Now, to be fair, though, in the heavyweight division, the lockup on it has been Klitschko for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Then prior to him, it was Lennox Lewis.
Right.
And, and then I think prior to Lennox, we had the Tyson thing going on, and then there was Larry Holmes. Yeah. So, again, having a dominant heavyweight would matter. And
they've added sanctioning bodies. Like back when Holmes was champ, you had WBA and WBC.
Right.
I mean,
we'd have to look it up. We'd have to look up when the IBF
then
came
IBF
out.
came along, and then you had WBO.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you know what? Now I always compare this, guys, to in MMA right now, right? You would have a Bellator heavyweight champion, then a UFC heavyweight champion. There would be an ACB possibly heavyweight champion, and then a one championship heavyweight champion, right? Those to me are like the belts. Like the WBC, the WBA, the WBO. So, for example, why couldn't we, and this would actually make a shitload of money, why couldn't we, let's say Frank wins the Bellator heavyweight title. Then he's like, okay, cool. I want to put it up against Stipe Miocic's UFC title, and we would unify it. Why not? Wouldn't it make a shitload of money?
Well, yes, but the problem there is you're talking about competing promotions.
And that's the reason why Joshua versus Wilder.
Right. And if you think it's difficult, actually it's one of the reasons it's not so difficult to see a lot of the big fights sooner rather than later in MMA, because so many of those fighters are under the same promotion, whether it be UFC or Bellator. But in boxing, it's anytime one promoter has to deal with another promoter, my gosh. I mean, that's Mayweather-Pacquiao. That's why it takes so long to make something happen, right?
And again, this is one of those ones where, okay, so Frank, here's the thing with the offer to Deontay Wilder is basically, without giving you all the super details of it, Deontay Wilder for fighting Anthony Joshua would get $12 million guaranteed. Now, if I said to you, hey, Frank, you're going to go fight Anthony or whoever, for $12 million. You're fighting Fedor for $12 million. You'd be like, done, right? Okay, but in boxing,
I fight for a little bit less already.
but for boxing, where this is one of those things where I actually agree with Wilder, because he worked very hard and the promotions worked very hard to finally get him to this point where he should be making Mayweather money or Pacquiao money. And for him to get such a shitty offer, I'm like, well, what's the point? You could probably make, close to that amount fighting people that aren't as hard to beat as Joshua. So screw it.
Isn't
it's still double what he probably got fight. I mean,
he gets paid a lot, Frank.
He probably guaranteed 6 when he fought Luis.
Yeah, probably got. We'd have to find out 6.
So that's double his
isn't the issue
next highest guarantee?
Isn't the issue that while Anthony Joshua can sell out a 70,000 seat whatever stadium in England, that Deontay Wilder draws significantly smaller crowds?
Yeah, but America's still the cake, man. I mean, I still think that if you're going to do a pay-per-view event, doing it in the United States is still a big deal, and it's a massive stage. I get it.
I mean, can't they just do it in the UK, fill out 90,000? Because I don't think they're going to get a 90,000 attendance here. I think they'll get it there. They already got it with Klitschko and Joshua. So then you have the big fight there as far as your gate. But then just have it televised back into the States.
You're absolutely right. And it could be a pay-per-view. And that's the whole point, is they're not even wanting to give Deontay Wilder any of the cuts.
Any of the points on the pay-per-view.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no way. That's just ridiculous.
So this is why what's being said is, Anthony Joshua is saying he wants to fight, and I actually believe he wants to fight, but his promoter is playing this weird game of, I'm promoting the #1 mandatory to Deontay Wilder's WBC, so if he wants to fight that guy first, then he can fight Joshua, and this is the exact reason, Richard Hunter, why Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson didn't happen until it did.
Yeah, his management team is basically saying no to Wilder without saying no.
Yeah. Exactly. They're definitely saying no.
It sounds like, to offer him, you're right.
That's bullshit.
To get $12 million, I get it. That's a lot of money.
Give me a 60-40 split.
It's like at the brothel when a guy comes in that a hooker doesn't want to fuck, and he says how much, and she goes, $12 million.
Again, the reason why you should go April 26th.
That's right.
At the
Laugh Factory in Chicago, folks. True stories. Stories that would be unbelievable if they weren't also true.
So I did want to say this then, Frank. Was it such a bad idea that when Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson happened, that it happened when it did? Even though I know people are saying it was in the tail end of their careers, they were still sort of kind of equal to each other, and they made a shitload of money. It put HBO and Showtime together, and they had to work together for the first time in history because this fight was that big of a deal, right? So I've had to do a couple interviews where they're like, well, don't you think it kind of takes away, let's say Frank, destroys Fedor, does it kind of tarnish it that they didn't fight earlier? And my answer has been, no, it doesn't. When exactly did you want Frank to fight Fedor? When the UFC wasn't that popular, and when Frank broke Tim Sylvia's arm? If he had done that in this era, he would be like, world star, everybody would be like, that's crazy, he broke that dude's arm. And back then, they didn't even give you the proper credit. I remember you even talking about how, that was kind of a letdown, right? And that's the heavyweight championship of the world. So that would have been shitty, and how many fans would have watched it then? And then when Fedor went into Strikeforce, right? Here's another version. So you wanted Frank to fight Fedor when he got trashed by all those other people? No, man, this is the best time for Frank and Fedor to fight because it's equal. They're both equal in everything. This is Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. And the reason why millions of viewers should watch it, Richard Hunter, is it's free, bitches. You don't have to pay $100 for this one. So for all you freaking Mayweather Pacquiao haters and all these people that are like, I had to pay $80. Okay, then shut up and turn on the Paramount Network, please, on April 28th and watch Fedor versus Frank Mir, because you're getting two legends for freaking free. So shut the F up, stop complaining, and just enjoy that you're getting two of the greatest fighters ever in mixed martial arts history for free.
And you, Phone Booth Fighting listeners, just got Reyes. Frank, tell them about the Amazon banner.
Hey, go to our phoneboothfighting.com, click on our banner there. You'll see the Amazon banner. By doing so, you'll be taken and be able to do all your shopping for all your wants and needs. But a small percentage at no extra cost to you comes back here to the show to help us out.
That's right. Also, the entire Angelo Reyes line of Phone Booth Fighting merchandise is available in the online store right there at phoneboothfighting.com. So check that out. Multiple styles, all sizes, all colors, shipping now.
Did we do Low T Nation yet?
We did at the top of the show. Of course, go to lowtnation.com, free telephone consultation, and see if you are a candidate for their services. Also, ellisoncoffeeco.com. 10% off your entire purchase by using the promo code PhoneBooth. So do that.
And by the way, can I just real quick say I love your Datsu Sara backpack.
Oh, thank you. You saw it out there, didn't you?
I saw it the first time you brought it in on Saturday for the practice.
Yeah.
It makes you look like a really cool backpack.
Thanks. I appreciate that. What I'm doing now is Frank is tapering down his camp. I'm also training with mine. Because, you don't want it to be the kind of thing. I mean, like, you're going to try on your fight shorts before the night of the fight. That's not going to be the first time you put them on. So I'm getting used to the feel of the backpack, and they're getting the right adjustment. I'm adjusting the tabs right now. It came with this really cool, like, belt thing, and I'm like, it's detachable, so I'm experimenting right now, trying it with it on, with it off, kind of like jogging with a weighted vest, things like that. And what I think we should probably do on our...
Is it big? Is it roomy?
Yeah, I'll show it to you out here in the green room.
And he has the pro. Like, they don't even have the pros. You can't even buy the pros.
No, they make these 4 fighters. Yeah. So, I'll show it to you. And
I travel. You need to tell him, hey, Amir travels twice a month internationally.
No, he's supposed to have one for you, too, from what I understand. Datsu Sara? No?
Well, they've sent this one for the fight, but I'm sure we can get Frank one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll have to go through the whole thing with Angelo again.
Yes,
so thanks
you
for
will.
bringing that up.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Frank, you're supposed to get a whole Datsu Sara.
See, look, I just did the Reyes.
Yeah, you did.
See, I'm getting better.
Yes.
So next episode we'll showcase the back. We'll talk about what should be in the backpack. We'll let the listeners go on the journey with us as we prepare the pack for the Friday weigh-in.
And can I just say for you, since you're on preparation, you've never been in there before, right? The weigh-ins.
Well, not as backpack specialist.
No. I mean, because they only allow one.
Right.
To go with the fighter.
There will only be one.
Richard, it's very serious, man.
Oh, I'm aware.
Like, you can't trip.
Right.
Like, that can happen, right? When Frank takes off his clothes, you can't be all bumbling in front of Scott Coker and Rich Shue and Mike Hogan. You got to be smooth and cool, man.
So we have to drill this, man.
No, that's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
So we'll be in the hotel room. I'll be stripping off my clothes.
Yes. I'll be ready with the Pedialyte. I tell you what, quick 2-minute bonus story on the time I was embarrassed in front of the largest group of people. Our good friends in Blues Traveler, Frank, friends of mine since we're all about the same age, since we were all about 18, 19 years old. So this goes back to probably the late 90s. And they are playing a summer tour in sort of like amphitheaters, so it's probably a crowd of, 12, 14,000 people, something like that. And I get to the show, going to go see the show, watch my friends play, and they say, hey, our drum roadie, our drum tech, fell off the back of the stage last night. It was a freak accident. He landed on his face. He's been flown home for emergency surgery, and we have no drum tech tonight. Would you be the drum tech? So I said, sure. So during the show, I sat on the back of the drum riser, and I would do things like, Brendan, the drummer, would break a stick, and I'd give him a fresh stick or something like that. But he also had each musician, to pull back the curtain here, if you're not musically inclined, has their own monitor mix. So he has this speaker that's right by him, the drummer, and he has a unique mix in that. Like maybe he wants to hear more vocal, less guitar, or more bass, less vocal, or something like that. And so the guy running the monitor board, that would be like in Mikey's job over there, he can make a different mix for each member of the band depending on how you like your levels in your headphones, or in this case, his monitor. So Brendan is telling me a couple of things early in the set. Hey, tell him more bass, tell him more guitar, whatever. So I'm shuttling back and forth from the drum riser to the monitor board, which is off to the side of the stage. So it's an entire half a length of a stage. And this is a big stage.
Wow.
I mean, this is like a big
So you're
15,000 feet, 15,000 seat concert venue. So, so I make a couple of runs back and forth to the monitor board. On this particular time, I sort of push off like a sprinter would out of blocks off of the drum riser. When I do, huh?
Did the roll riser go?
The riser did not move, fortunately, because it was weighted down with the drums and Brendan and everything else. That would be fun. But when I launched off the riser, I overextended my stride. I fell face down on the stage, and it was just as the band was finishing a song. So it was crescendoing, boom, boom, on the stage. Now, it's compounded by the fact that the band was not playing when the thud happened, when the face-down thud happened.
Perfect timing.
So I'm face down on the stage. The band is in between songs, and I can feel the stage start to rumble because of the laughter of 15,000 people.
Is there any video on this?
Yeah, is there on YouTube?
No, there's no video of it. But I'll tell you what, if you ever get...
See, that would have been World Star.
If you ever get John Popper or Chan, any of the guys, ask them this story. They remember it to this day because it was like I could feel it, And as my face was getting hot, from like blushing and everything, and as I began to look up from the stage, I saw 15,000 people and 5 band members just doubled over with laughter. Like the whole band was turned around. They were laughing. I had to get up. I had to take the walk of shame over to the monitor board to complete the mission.
So that night, Big Dick was shameful.
It was... It was training me, Angelo, for the challenge that I will face on April 27th when I accompany Frank Mir to the Bellator
the first time
weigh-ins.
he's been under pressure.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I did not know then what it was preparing me for. Right. Now I know.
You didn't realize that was a horrible moment in life. It was only preparation for the biggest step in your life.
That's right. All right, we will take the next step in phone booth fighting evolution on our next episode when we join you. On this one, we want to thank Angelo Reyes for sitting in with us. Where can everybody follow you on social media, Angelo?
Reyes Striking on Twitter, Reyes Boxing on Instagram. I'm Angelo Reyes on Facebook, and if you follow Frank, then you'll know how to find me.
Frank, how do they follow the show?
Phone Booth Fighting. You follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Phone Booth Fighting, and Snapchat, Twitter, just at Phone Booth Fight.
Tell a friend about this show. That is the best way you can help us. Help us spread the word, grow it organically, one listener at a time. Look us up on iTunes, Phone Booth Fighting, and click those 5 stars. We just got our 300th 5-star review, and we really appreciate those. And if you have an extra moment, write a favorable line or two in the comment section. Frank and I will read those on the air. We've been claiming we're going to be doing that for a couple of weeks now, which means hopefully a few of them at least have built up, and we'll be reading those sooner rather than later. So thanks to you guys for being a part of this one. On behalf of Angelo Reyes and Frank Mir and Mikey over there doing a great job producing, as always, I'm Richard Hunter, and we'll see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.